The air is so cold it feels like 1,000 tiny needles stabbing your lungs. Every breath you take is sharp, burning, and you can almost taste the frost in the back of your throat. The world is silent except for the crunch of snow beneath heavy boots and the faint sound of your own shivering. It's 1944, deep in the Ardennes forest. The Battle of the Bulge rages on, and the trees are thick with tension and fear. Soldiers are scattered among the pines, each one fighting not just the enemy, but the relentless cold that seeps into their bones. Snow muffles sound, hiding the enemy. Every step is a risk, every shadow could be a threat. The silence is eerie, broken only by the distant echo of artillery or the soft whisper of wind through the branches. Huddled in a foxhole, your fingers and toes numb, the cold is your deadliest foe. It creeps in slowly, stealing feeling from your limbs, making every movement a struggle. You wrap your hands and feet, but the chill always finds a way in. Water and rations are frozen solid. Even the simplest task, taking a sip of water or eating a meal, becomes a battle. Hunger gnaws at your stomach, but the food is locked away in a block of ice. Without warmth, you won't survive the night. Soldiers huddle together, sharing what little heat they can, desperate to keep the cold at bay. Every hour feels like an eternity as you wait for dawn. A fire would give away your position, instant death. The enemy is always watching, always listening. One flicker of light could mean disaster for you and your comrades. But what if survival depended on something smaller? Sometimes it's not brute strength or firepower that saves you, but a tiny spark of ingenuity. Imagine a soldier pulling out a razor blade and a scrap of tinder. In the darkness, with numb fingers, he prepares for a last-ditch effort to survive the night. In that frozen silence, he's about to create a spark, a trick born of desperation and ingenuity. The smallest glimmer of hope can mean everything when the odds are stacked against you. This tiny flame, shielded in his palm, is the difference between life and death. It's warmth, it's hope, and it's a reminder that even in the darkest moments, resourcefulness can light the way. It's a forgotten skill, a secret weapon of survival. These techniques, passed down through necessity, are as vital today as they were then. Today, I'll show you how this Woi-2 trick worked, and why it still matters. In a world where comfort is often taken for granted, these lessons remind us of the power of human ingenuity. Let's unlock the power of resourcefulness, just like those soldiers did. Because sometimes, survival comes down to the smallest spark, and the courage to keep it alive. Before we dive in, I need your help. If you value these survival skills, hit like. It helps others find this knowledge. Drop a comment. Have you heard of this technique, or do you know another unusual way to start a fire? Your stories and tips make this community stronger. Share this video with anyone who loves the outdoors or history. The more people who know these skills, the more resilient we all become. Knowledge is light, sometimes literally. Subscribe to Survival Sensei, and ring the bell for more forgotten skills and survival wisdom. Join our mission to keep these life-saving techniques alive. Now let's return to the frozen forests of WW2 and see how a razor blade could mean the difference between life and death. Ready? Let's go. Back to the story. To truly grasp the razor blade trick, you first have to imagine the relentless, bone-chilling winter of WW2. It wasn't just a backdrop, it was a merciless enemy in its own right, shaping every moment of the conflict. Temperatures routinely plunged to -30 or even 40 degrees Celsius. In these conditions, frostbite wasn't just a risk, it was almost a guarantee. Soldiers' fingers and toes would go numb within minutes, and many lost limbs to the cold. The cold was so deadly, it claimed more lives than enemy bullets or bombs. Entire battalions were decimated not by gunfire, but by exposure and exhaustion. Equipment that worked perfectly in warmer climates failed miserably here. Rifles jammed with ice, radios went silent, and vehicles became useless blocks of frozen metal. Even the basics of survival became a daily battle. Water had to be hacked from ice, and rations were so hard they had to be thawed before eating, if you could even manage that. Hypothermia was a constant threat, creeping in slowly. It started with uncontrollable shivering, then confusion, and finally, a silent, deadly sleep from which many never woke. For these soldiers, staying warm wasn't about comfort. It was about clinging to life itself. Every scrap of warmth was precious, but lighting a fire was a dangerous gamble. The smallest flicker could give away your position to the enemy, turning warmth into a deadly beacon. Every night soldiers faced a cruel dilemma: risk freezing to death in the darkness, or risk being discovered and attacked if they tried to stay warm. This impossible choice forced them to get creative. They had to invent new ways to generate heat, methods that were small, efficient, and, most importantly, hidden from enemy eyes. Out of this desperate need, the razor blade fire was born, a clever, improvised solution using the most basic supplies. It was a powerful lesson in resourcefulness. Soldiers learned to make do with whatever they had, turning ordinary objects into tools for survival. Sometimes, in the harshest conditions, the smallest spark, a single flame, could mean the difference between life and death. That's the kind of ingenuity and determination we're about to explore. How a simple razor blade became a lifeline in the deadliest winter of the war. When survival is on the line, every item becomes a potential lifesaver. Dupuis soldiers saw their gear as more than just tools, they were solutions. Helmets became pots, bayonets became can openers, and shaving kits became fire starters. Improvisation was key: boots insulated with straw, gasoline used for quick heat, every scrap repurposed. The razor blade, meant for shaving, became a spark of hope. Survival meant seeing hidden potential in ordinary things. The most resourceful soldiers weren't always the strongest, they were the most creative. That mindset is the foundation of true survival. Let's see how a simple razor blade became a key to fire. How did a razor blade start a fire? It's all about science under pressure. The soldier used a thin, high-carbon steel razor blade, not for cutting, but for its resistance. He found dry tinder, char cloth, lint, or wood dust. The power source? A battery from a radio or field phone. Two wires connected to the battery terminals, forming a live circuit. Touching the wires to the razor blade, the thin steel glowed red-hot from resistance. The tinder, pressed to the hot spot, ignited instantly. This tiny ember could be coaxed into a small, life-saving flame. It was precise, reliable, and worked when matches failed. Ingenuity turned a sliver of steel into survival. The razor blade trick wasn't about making a big fire, it was about making the right fire. In combat, a bonfire is a beacon for the enemy. A microfire is stealthy and efficient. Soldiers used helmets to shield the flame, heating water or hands without giving away their position. A small, hot flame uses less fuel and is easier to hide. Microfires conserve resources and keep you safer. They require attention and skill, connecting you to your environment. Managing a microfire is both survival and meditation, a focus point in chaos. It's a lesson: sometimes less is more. The microfire was warmth, hope, and a reason to keep fighting. That's the power of thinking small. Why did we lose this skill? Progress. Modern lighters and matches are cheap and reliable, so few learn complex tricks. Batteries are now sealed, safe, and user-friendly. We rarely see their raw power. The desperate context of W2 is gone. Today's survival is different. Old skills fade as technology advances, but that makes us more dependent and more fragile. Relearning the razor blade trick is about reclaiming self-reliance. It's not just about fire, it's about independence. You won't find a WE2 radio battery on a hike, but the principle still works. Use a modern battery, 9-volt, AA or AAA. For a conductor, try a gum wrapper's foil, steel wool, or a utility blade. Touch the foil or steel wool to the battery terminals. The resistance creates heat and sparks. Even a pencil's graphite can glow red-hot with enough current. The key: use what you have and understand the science. Think like a WW2 soldier, see potential in every object. Practice safely at home to master these techniques. Don't just memorize, understand the principle. Adapt it to any situation, with any materials. That's true survival skill. We've traveled from a frozen foxhole, where every breath was a battle, and every spark meant hope, to your backyard, where the lessons of survival are just as relevant today as they were decades ago. Carrying a lesson in resilience, we bridge the gap between history and the present, showing that the skills of the past still have a place in our modern lives. The razor blade fire trick is more than a gimmick. It's a symbol of human ingenuity, a testament to the creativity and determination that have helped people survive against the odds. Survival is about thinking, adapting, and using your mind as your best tool. It's about seeing opportunity where others see obstacles, and finding solutions in the most unlikely places. This knowledge is a legacy. Don't let it fade. When you pass down these skills, you're not just teaching techniques, you're sharing a mindset of perseverance and self-reliance. Practice the trick, grab a battery and steel wool, and see for yourself how a simple spark can ignite a fire, even in the toughest conditions. Safely make a spark. Build a microfire, and watch as your efforts turn into warmth and light, just as they did for those before you. Feel the connection to history and to your own resourcefulness. Every time you light a fire, you're honoring the generations who relied on these skills to survive. When you learn by doing, the skill becomes yours forever. Practice until it's second nature, so you're ready when it matters most. Share this knowledge, teach your friends, inspire your family, and empower your kids to be confident and capable in any situation. These moments together build not just skills but memories and bonds that last a lifetime. Subscribe to Survival Sensei for more lost arts and survival wisdom. Join a community dedicated to keeping these essential skills alive. The world is unpredictable, but with the right skills, you're ready for anything. Preparation is the key to confidence, no matter what challenges come your way. Stay prepared, stay sharp, and keep the flame alive. Let your curiosity and determination guide you and never stop learning. Ingenuity is your greatest weapon. Never give up, and remember, the smallest spark can light the way forward. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a survival tip. Stay safe, and keep the flame alive.